Welcome to the Bruce Williams channel. It is time for a good old-fashioned watch ramble about nothing of real significance. So the question here today is, would you swap these two Rolex models for one precious metal Rolex model? Would you consolidate and quote-unquote upgrade? Now, I know your likely answer to this question. I think the majority of you will say, no way. But before you tell me, Bruce, pull yourself together, just allow me to ramble a little bit. The other day, I went and got wings with a couple good watch buddies of mine. A few of us frequent a really good local place called the Trolley Wing Company. So if you're ever visiting Utah, if you're ever in my neck of the woods, go to Trolley Wing Company, get the Traeger smoked wings with the trolley chips. I think you will thank me later. But this last time that our little watch group visited this restaurant for some Thursday night football, I posed this exact question. Would you trade my Rolex Hulk and my Rolex Sky Dweller for a full yellow gold day date? Now, one of my friends there, he's a buddy of mine that works at an authorized dealer. And he said he would probably swap one, but not both of them. And he also suggested changing out the day date for a yellow gold Daytona. And he owns one. He uses one on Oyster Flex. So he does speak from experience. And he suggested this reference, the yellow gold 116518LN, which is the champagne dial. And I have to say that this friend knows me well. This is one that I would adore wearing. So I will seriously consider this suggestion. Now, taking a look at the financial aspect here, this one retails for $29,200. So if I axe one of the two watches and then I add, we'll be really easy here with the math. We'll add about 10-ish grand depending on tax in the trade-in or the sale on the secondary market. I could be out one watch and about 10 grand, but I would also add a killer gold Daytona to pair with either the sub or the black Sky Dweller, and that would be a pretty amazing duo. Now, another friend of mine that was there, my buddy Rob of Mushi Watch Straps, told me, no, I would not do this move. I would not trade both of those Rolex models. And he voiced a couple questions that I think are good. He asked me, how much would I realistically wear a full yellow gold watch? Would I ever feel uncomfortable walking around with a $40,000 watch on wrist? He suggested, just enjoy the watches you have and don't worry about adding the gold piece yet. There is time for that when I'm older. He told me I should be at least in my 40s before I consider that type of bold and crass yellow gold watch. And you know what? He makes a good point here. I think he does make a good point. Now, if I go with this suggestion, I wouldn't be out any money. I wouldn't be out any watches, but I also wouldn't be wearing any cool precious metal watch anytime soon. So, there is that. The next friend, John, told me he would not make this trade. He told me buy a vintage 36 millimeter day date and save a little bit of money, or better yet, find one that has a fun dial or a rare dial and make it more of an accent watch, not one that you wear all the time. Like, I take my sub camping. I go traveling with the Sky Dweller. He said, go with one of the oddities from Rolex's history that would be more of an accent piece. Now, he also brought up another comment that was really good. He said that the watch that I like, right, the one that I'm considering here, and I'll drop it on the screen, the yellow gold day date with the champagne dial and the Roman numerals would not be the most legible watch, especially as I age. And himself, he's a little bit older than me. He has swapped out his stick hands on his vintage day date for some Rolex Submariner hands just to make it easier to read. And I think aspects relating to the long-term usability of any particular significant purchase should always be considered. So this suggestion, if I went with John's suggestion, it would not set me back any watches, but it would set me back fiscally with whatever I decide to spend on a vintage day date. And that could be, depending on the model, really it's a wide range, anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000, depending on the model. So another one to consider. Now, my buddy Stan, this is a different take. He told me, get it out of your system, Bruce. Like many watch enthusiasts, like many of you that might be watching this video right now, Stan has tired of Rolex, and he said something that's a great point. He said it's easier to flip Rolex into other Rolex rather than flip out of Rolex, try other brands, decide, hey, I want to get back into Rolex, and try to flip those other brands back into Rolex. You're going to lose some money doing that. So that's a good point. Stan told me he thinks Rolex is probably a phase for me like it has been for him, and that I will be on to funner and more unique horology after playing around with the various levels that Rolex has to offer. So he is further along in this journey than I am. So I want to take that into account. Is it a phase? Do I need to just do it, get it out of my system? Maybe it sticks, maybe it doesn't, but it's flipping Rolex for other Rolex. It's not flipping out of Rolex to say get Breguet or another brand that might be harder to flip back into Rolex if, I decide I make a mistake. Anyways, let's talk about the finances here. There really wouldn't be much of a setback. I would be letting go of two great killer stainless steel sports models, one discontinued and one extremely sought after. So I'd be getting rid of a lot, but I really wouldn't be putting much money down. It would really be minimal, the difference, because I would hopefully be buying at retail. And so there would be difference in tax, but it wouldn't be a big difference. It's almost an across the board type of trade. Now, another friend, Brian, told me, quote, "Oh yeah, definitely do that. I would not fault you one bit for trading hype steel sports Rolex for something baller in full precious metal that he could support." So he made that point that it is also easier to add the big heavy hitter first, and then if I miss steel sports Rolex later on, it's a lot easier to acquire like a Milgauss or a No Date Sub or an Explorer 2 down the line after having already acquired, the big Day Date or Daytona in full yellow gold. So, there is definitely something to that as well. Now, lastly, one more opinion here from a good friend. McKenzie told me, always keep Rolex and turn the other brands that I have in my collection into more Rolex, into that gold Day Date or Daytona. Now, it would mean losing Breitling. It would mean losing Cartier. It would mean losing Tudor and other brands. And from a watch investing standpoint, this is a good move. You never want to sell Rolex, and a collection of only Rolex will hold better value over the years and has that capacity to appreciate to a very nice degree, depending on what is in that Rolex collection. Now, that being said, allow me to waffle a little bit about the various valid points raised by my friends as we've discussed this hypothetical. Now, one, I can't let go of my other brands. Breitling is my favorite brand. My Pasha de Cartier is my favorite watch. I wear it all the time. So it's not in my desire to be a Rolex only guy, even if that makes financial sense or sense projecting years into the future. So it just rules out McKenzie's suggestion. Now, number two, Stan, he is likely right about me. I will probably never fully leave Rolex, but it might be a phase. I enjoy this brand a lot. I always want to have, one Rolex in the rotation, but I also don't want to be that watch guy who only owns or only wants hype models from Rolex. So if I did this, one cool precious metal Day Date or Daytona could really fulfill that desire in me for having one good Rolex, but it also at the same time wouldn't be one of the most sought after models like, a Hulk or a Sky Dweller or, a Steel Daytona if I don't have a Steel Daytona. But, you get what I'm trying to say here. This appeals to me. Is this a phase? Well, I don't know. That's debatable. Now, a couple other points. I like several vintage Rolex references, but I also don't want this to be an accent watch type of purchase. I want this to be in the rotation a heck of a lot. So, realistically speaking, 40 millimeters is just my size. It's my style. I'm a big guy. I have a big frame. I have large wrists. And I want that added heft, that lovely heft of more precious metal. And I also have a couple friends, not many, but a couple friends who just wear the heck out of their gold Rolex models. And that appeals to me. So I don't want a vintage 36 millimeter day-date or whatnot that would be more of an accent piece, as cool and as appealing as that may be. That's just not me. I want the 40 mil and I want to wear this watch a lot, whether it's, a black t-shirt and camo shorts or a shirt and tie and a sport coat. I think either the gold day-date or the gold Daytona would surprisingly work in those situations and would be very fun to wear regularly and not as an accent piece. So that being said, let's go to a couple more. The point about legibility and functionality and whatnot. I say, why wait until I need glasses, to buy a non-high contrast gold watch? Wouldn't it make more sense to pull the trigger now while the vision is still 20/20 and then just, enjoy that while it lasts? That's something to consider. Now, here's the question. Here's the question I want to pose. If I did make this change, would I regret it? Would I miss these watches? And I imagine many of you, if you're still listening to this video right now, and you're typing in the comments and you'll say something to the effect of, yes, Bruce, you definitely would regret this move. You would for sure miss the Hulk. You would for sure miss that annual calendar Sky Dweller, that underrated watch. And if I had a Hulk or if I had a Sky Dweller, I would not want for anything. What are you doing? Just enjoy the watch. No, don't make this move. At least that's what I imagine a lot of you will be saying something to that effect. And realistically, that's a fair point. But at the same time, you are also kind of looking at this from your own perspective. If you flip perspectives from mine, I've already enjoyed the Hulk for 3 years. I've already enjoyed the Sky Dweller for a good amount of time. I've used these watches. I've had a lot of fun with these watches. So would I miss these? I think, yeah, there would be days that I would. And have I missed any of the dozens of amazing watches that I have previously moved on from? From time to time, yes, I do, but not often, because anytime I have that feeling, whether I'm going back and editing or I see an old post or whatever the case may be, and I want that old watch, that Vacheron Constantin that I let go of, or again, whatever the watch that you are thinking of, do I ever miss it? Well, yeah, but then at the same time, it's not like I don't have awesome watches to wear. So whenever I put on the next killer edition in the collection, I don't miss that overseas. I don't miss that Marine Master or whatever the watch that I used to have that was really killer at one point. There's always another watch. And that poses the question, do I really need a Submariner or an annual calendar or anything like that? Technically, no. But also at the same time, I don't really need a day date or a chronograph. Really, at the end of the day, this is just a silly discussion of what silly luxury watch or watches do I want to be wearing and enjoying. It is nothing, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, nothing of real substance. So, does it matter if I wear 20 different watches that have the equivalent cost of one $10,000 luxury watch, or whether I wear that one luxury watch that retails for $10,000? So what about this instance? Two watches that that are valued at about $40,000, or wearing one that retails for either $30,000 or $40,000. There really shouldn't be that much of a difference if you break it down, even though there are differences. Now, I have two final points here. One, I am not in this hobby for resale value. I mean, obviously, I've made some mistakes along the way. Although I do cycle through watches, and I probably should be more concerned with the sunk cost that I have or the unrealized gains that I have. It's just not in me. I am in this hobby to have fun. And I've come a long way. I've had a lot of fun. I've experienced a lot of watches, and I hope to travel a long ways farther in this journey and have a lot more fun with a lot more watches. And so, I don't know, I want to try them all. That's just part of my desire. Now, lastly, this is what I am going to do. And I hope you don't I hope you don't feel like I'm copping out here, because this video is helping me solidify my thoughts. But again, what I'm going to do is nothing for now. These types of moves, in my opinion, should only be made after a good amount of time pondering over the different possibilities. And right now, I've already been thinking about this for months. And I'll probably think about this for a few more months. So I don't know, maybe I end up selling one or none or both. Maybe I add a day date or a Daytona, or maybe I don't. Maybe I decide to wait for some years longer. Regardless of what I end up doing or not doing, the best thing for me to do right now is wait and think about it, because the right answer will come to the forefront. It will become clear, and I can move forward with confidence and not being in fear of making a bad move or having a regret, because I've molded over for so long. I'm confident and comfortable and excited about my decision, whether or not I do it or not. Maybe I do it, maybe I don't. The key part here is to have patience, and that's a hard thing to do as a watch enthusiast. Patience is always a good thing in this hobby. So guys, thank you for watching today. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to reading your comments in the comment section. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.